What if the difference between a boat that flies onto plane and one that struggles for 6 seconds came down to a single extra blade? What if pitch mattered more than blade count? And what if the wrong prop could quietly cook your engine while your fuel bill kept climbing? Today, we're helping you understand why your propeller choice matters. Walk up to any boat on the ramp and stare at the prop for 30 seconds and you'll notice something odd. It doesn't look like it should work. It looks like somebody took a hand fan, twisted the blades and bolted it to a shaft. That's roughly what's happening. A boat prop is a rotating wing. Each blade is an aerofoil spinning through the water, except the lift pushes water backwards instead of pushing the aircraft up. And that push moves the boat forward. Simple enough on paper, annoying in practice. Because the moment you start adding blades to move more water, you also add drag, weight, and the possibility of the blades interfering with each other's flow. Every extra blade is a trade-off. Some give you thrust, some steal your top speed, some make your boat handle beautifully in rough water, some make it burn twice the fuel at cruise. Picking a prop is a compromise, and the trick is finding the specific compromise that matches your boat, your engine, and how you use the thing. That's a much harder question than the bloke at the marina with the loud opinion is going to admit. He's got a base boat, you've got a pontoon. They don't want the same prop, and that's where the fun starts. Look at 90 of every 100 boats sitting at the marina, and you'll see the same thing bolted to the transom. 3 blades. It's not an accident. 3 blades is the mathematical sweet spot for anything under about 20 feet of hull. Enough surface area to bite into the water and generate real thrust. Not so much that you're dragging around blade area you don't need. The physics works out that a 3-blade prop generates roughly 25 to 30% more thrust than the 2-blade design that came before it, and delivers about 10 to 15% better fuel efficiency at cruise. It runs smoother because 3 points of rotation balance forces the way a tripod balances a camera, and it delivers the fastest top-end speed for a given horsepower, which is why every bay boat, ski boat, and small runabout leaves the factory wearing one. If your ideal Saturday is running flat out on a still lake with nothing but a beer cooler in the back, this is your prop. The catch is what happens when you start loading the boat up. Add a couple of kids, a full tank of fuel, and a wakeboarder trailing behind, and the 3 blades suddenly feels like it's dragging a small anchor. Hole shot gets long. Bow rises high enough that you can't see the water. The boat squats, complains, and eventually gets on plane about 4 seconds after it should have. This is exactly the moment somebody on the dock starts telling you that what you really need is a 4-blade prop. And they might be right. But it's worth understanding what you'd be trading away before you drop $300 on that opinion. Bolt a 4-blade prop onto that same boat and the personality changes completely. The extra blade adds somewhere between 20 and 30% more surface area in the water, which sounds like a modest jump on paper. On the water, it's a different animal entirely. That extra blade turns the prop into a thrust monster. Hole shot, times drop by whole seconds. A wakeboard boat that used to squat and struggle onto plane just leaps up onto it. A heavy center console with 4 adults, a full fuel tank, and a Yeti full of drinks accelerates like it just remembered it left the oven on. That isn't marketing hype. It's the direct consequence of moving more water per revolution. The trade-off shows up at the other end of the throttle. More blade area also means more drag. Top-end speed drops by roughly 5 to 10%, which on a boat that used to hit 45 miles an hour means a new top of about 41. If you never touch wide open throttle, you'll never notice. If you race, you'll notice on the first lap. Where the 4-blade prop really earns its keep is the middle of the throttle band. At cruise revs, where most fishing and touring happens, the extra blade lets the engine loaf. It runs cooler, drinks less fuel, and holds the boat on plane at speeds where a 3-blade would still be laboring, which is why it belongs on cruisers, offshore center consoles, wake boats, and any pontoon carrying a family of 6 and a small barbecue. If your boating day involves stopping for lunch, towing a couple of tubes, and cruising back at a civilized pace, the 4-blade is the one designed for you. Here's where the 4-blade prop really pulls ahead. Take that same setup out in a 2-foot chop and watch what happens. A 3-blade prop in rough water spends part of every rotation partly out of the water. When that happens, it ventilates. The engine over-revs. A horrible whine comes up through the transom, drive vanishes for a second, and the boat lurches until the blade finds the water again. Do that 20 times in a following sea, and you've got a very tired offshore captain and a boat that's earning about half the speed it should be. A 4-blade prop, thanks to that extra blade area and the smaller gap between blades, always has at least one blade properly buried in the water, so the boat maintains steady thrust even when the wave train's doing its worst. That's why offshore fishing boats, sport catamarans, and rough water bay boats almost always run 4-blade props. It's not a preference, it's an operational requirement. Cavitation is a completely different problem, and boat owners confuse the two constantly. It happens when the pressure on the back of the blade drops so low that the water itself boils. Little vapor pockets form, collapse violently, and slowly chew the metal off the prop. Both blade counts suffer from it, but the 4-blade design spreads the load across more surface, so it's less prone to the extreme low-pressure zones that cause the trouble. Ask any offshore captain running twin outboards on a center console what he spins. The answer's always the same. 4-blade, stainless. Roughly 19 inches of pitch, matched to the wide open throttle band, because he's watched a 3-blade prop over-rev in a following sea, and he knows what a lost second of drive costs when the stern's already sitting high. While we're on props, let's talk about the number that matters more than the blade count. Pitch is the theoretical distance the prop would travel forward in one full rotation if it was screwing through solid material, like a wood screw. A 19-inch pitch prop would move 19 inches forward per rotation if nothing was slipping. In water, everything slips, but the number still tells you what the prop is trying to do. Think of pitch as the gearing on a car. Low pitch is a low gear. The engine spins fast, the boat accelerates hard, and top speed suffers. High pitch is overdrive. The engine loafs, the boat cruises faster, and the acceleration gets lazy. And this is where most boat owners get the whole thing wrong. When you swap from 3 blades to 4, you almost always need to drop the pitch by 1 to 2 inches to keep the engine hitting the same wide open throttle revs. The extra blade means extra resistance, and if you don't back the pitch off, the engine can't reach the range it was designed to run in. Skip that step and you'll bog the motor. That cancels out everything the 4-blade prop was meant to gain you. The fix is boring but essential. Every outboard has a sticker somewhere on the cowl showing its wide open throttle rev range. Yamaha, Mercury, Suzuki, Honda, all of them. Read the sticker before you buy a prop. Then match the pitch to what your boat does at full throttle with the load you actually carry. Now you have a prop that works, not the one that looked good online, not the one the marina guy recommended over a beer, the one that fits your specific boat. That's the whole trick. Now for the second question, what's the prop actually made of? For most recreational boats, it comes down to 2 materials, aluminium or stainless steel. Aluminium is the affordable choice, cheap to cast, easy to shape into complex geometries, and forgiving when you clip a submerged rock because the blade bends, instead of transferring the impact into the gearbox. On a shallow water flats boat that spends its days ghosting through half a foot of water over oyster bar, that ability to bend and be hammered straight again is worth its weight in gold. The downside is that aluminium's soft. Blades have to be thicker than the equivalent stainless design to hold their shape, which adds drag. And they flex under load, which means some of the engine's power ends up bending the prop instead of pushing the boat. On a motor below 150 horsepower, that flex barely registers. On a big outboard above 150, it costs real speed. Stainless steel is the performance choice. Blades are thinner because the steel is stronger, which cuts drag straight away. They stay stiff under load, which means the engine's power finally gets converted into thrust. Top speed gains on a properly matched boat run 5 to 10% over the same design in aluminium. Hole shot improves by roughly a full second, and the prop lasts effectively forever, provided you don't hit anything solid. If you do hit something solid in stainless though, the prop doesn't bend, the gearcase does, which is a much more expensive part to replace. There's a third option worth mentioning: composite. Reinforced polymers with carbon fiber blends, mostly on smaller electric and hybrid boats where lightweight helps efficiency. Impact tolerance is still developing. Composite blades can chip or shatter on a hard strike, and field repair options are thin. For most recreational owners in 2026, the honest choice is still between aluminium for shallow water and stainless for everything else. Now, the fun part. If 4 blades made things stronger, why not just keep adding? 5, 6. Might as well strap a windmill to the transom and see what happens. There's a reason nobody does that. Every prop engineer knows the rule. More blades means less efficient. Each extra blade adds drag, and each extra blade interferes with the water flow of the blade in front of it. Eventually, you cross a point where the additional thrust from adding another blade is smaller than the drag it creates. That's roughly where the prop industry settled on 3 and 4 as the normal range. 5-blade props exist. Mercury Racing makes the Max 5 and the High 5. PowerTech and B-Blades make competition designs. They live on very specific applications. High-horsepower offshore V-hulls, catamarans, step V-hulls, racing stern drives that spin the prop half out of the water at 90 miles an hour. In those setups, the extra blade helps the prop hold onto whatever water it can still reach when everything else is trying to fly. Mercury's High 5 and Max 5 are legendary in that space, and B-Blades runs a lab-finished 5-speed that punches above its weight. 6-blade props are almost purely a racing tool. Surface-piercing applications and stern drive rigs running very high above the water. If you're pushing 300+ horsepower per drive and the boat's designed to skim across the surface at triple digits, 5 and 6 blades start to make sense. For a normal recreational boat with an outboard between 100 and 300 horsepower, they're the wrong tool. Not because they're bad, because they're built to solve a problem you're not having. So how do you pick the right prop for your boat? The short answer is you test them. The proper answer is you test them methodically. Every serious boater has stood on a dock arguing about which prop felt faster, and the only way to settle it is a stopwatch, a GPS, and a rev counter. The B-Blades Propeller Test Program in Princeton, Wisconsin exists for exactly this reason. You bring your boat, they bring a rack of props, and you spend a day cycling through them at wide open throttle in identical conditions on the same body of water with the same load in the boat. The right prop is the one that puts the engine's revs squarely in the middle of the manufacturer's wide open throttle band at the load and altitude you actually run at. Not below the range, not above it. Right in the middle. That's where the engine was designed to make its best power, its best fuel economy, and its longest life. Every other prop is a compromise on at least one of those 3. Meaning it's not the one your buddy at the marina swears by, not the one the internet forum recommended. It's the one that matches your specific boat, your engine, your hull, and how you use the thing. Most recreational owners never do this. They buy the prop the boat came with, run it into the ground, and replace it with something roughly similar, which is fine. But the owners who test properly typically walk away finding 2 or 3 miles an hour they didn't have before, a full second off the hole shot, and better fuel economy at cruise. Over a season on the water, that's real money and real time back. When the wrong prop bites back. A wrong prop doesn't just cost you speed. It can properly damage your engine. Underpitched props let the motor over-rev at wide open throttle, which stresses pistons, connecting rods, and valves in ways they weren't designed for. Overpitched props hold the engine below its rev range, which lugs it, overheats the exhaust, and burns out cooling components faster than the maintenance schedule expects. A 4-blade prop on an engine tuned for a 3 with no pitch adjustment will bog the motor and cook the ECU trying to compensate. A prop spinning the wrong direction on a twin-engine boat will make the boat pull one way at the dock. Embarrassing at low speed, genuinely dangerous at high speed. A prop that's too small in diameter cavitates constantly, chewing itself and killing fuel efficiency at the same time. A prop that's too large in diameter fouls the anti-cavitation plate, produces poor water flow, and can crack the lower unit if it strikes the strut on a hard hit. The moral isn't that prop selection is complicated, it's that prop selection matters more than most owners realize. The $300 prop you almost bought off Amazon may cost you $3,000 in engine repairs over the next 2 seasons, which is the sort of arithmetic that makes the local prop shop suddenly look like the sensible option. So let's finally answer the question: which prop is right for which boat? A small runabout, ski boat, bay boat, bass boat, or lake pontoon under 20 feet, running an outboard below 150 horsepower. Stick with the 3-blade. Aluminium if you fish shallow water where the odd rock strike is part of the job. Stainless if you run at high revs and want the top-end speed the material can deliver. A cruising cabin cruiser, an offshore center console, a sport cat, a towboat for wakeboarding, or a heavy pontoon carrying serious payload. 4-blade prop. Almost always stainless, almost always with a pitch drop of 1 to 2 inches from the equivalent 3-blade you'd otherwise run, or a heavy inboard-outboard stern drive with a big block engine. 4-blade prop, purpose-designed for the hull, from a specialist like Acme or OJ Propellers, a high-performance offshore V-hull, a step V, a catamaran with over 400 horsepower per drive, or a racing stern drive spinning half above the waterline. 5-blade prop from Mercury Racing, PowerTech, or B-blades. Everything else. Talk to a professional prop shop before you spend real money on the wrong choice, because they've seen every combination of boat, engine, and hull already, and they know what works. Here's the thing about the 3 versus 4-blade debate that nobody at the boat ramp will tell you. Both of them are right. Both of them are wrong. Both of them are simultaneously the best and worst prop you could put on any given boat. It all depends on the boat, the engine, the load, the water, and how you actually use the thing. A 3-blade prop on a light bass boat that runs solo on a still lake at dawn is perfect. That same 3-blade prop on a heavy center console loaded with tackle boxes running 20 miles offshore in a 2-foot chop is a nightmare. A 4-blade prop on that offshore boat is a revelation. The right answer is the one that matches your specific setup, not the loudest opinion at the marina, not the top comment on the forum, not your brother-in-law who owns a boat exactly like yours, except completely different in every way that actually matters. Test the props, do the maths, match the pitch to the boat, and once you find the one that puts the engine's revs in the right place, hits the whole shot you need, and holds the top speed you want, buy 2 of them. You'll drop one off the transom at some point. Everyone does. Boats are like that. And when you're standing at the marina explaining to your mate why your boat gets on plane in 2 seconds while his still takes 6, you'll understand exactly why the prop debate never really ends, because now you're the one with the opinion. So if you enjoyed this, go watch our deep dive on propeller physics, secret every owner should know. Also, would you run 3, 4, or 5 blades on your boat? Let us know and subscribe for more like this.